FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and it's September 20th, 2017. Well, hey, we've got a so-called historic Fed meeting coming up today. And, hey, we had a historic UN meeting yesterday. And also what's going on with the Chinese ban of the Bitcoin exchanges. Here to speak about it is Andrew Hoffman at CryptoGoldCentral.com. Andy, welcome back as always.
Thanks for having me. It's just so funny because both you and I are having a little bit of trouble getting used to changing the way we speak, given that I've shifted on to a new life, a new business life. Yes, I'm at CryptoGoldCentral.com. We've been in business now for a whopping 8 days. I think I have 80 posts up already. The subscribers are rising, and I just added a 7-day free trial membership as of yesterday. I'm now accepting Bitcoin and PayPal. And it's just so exciting because I'm still talking about gold, but I'm also talking about my new passion, Bitcoin.
All right. So, well, I guess first we should talk about the Fed's historic meeting, and then we'll talk about what's happening in China. So, Fed meeting coming up. What do we expect to be the net result? I know I'm asking a redundant question, but let's hear it from you.
Right. And, actually, I wrote last night, again, these are now private content articles. My podcast will still be public, but this is it's in my blog now. It's called Tomorrow's Historic, with quotes around an FOMC meeting, because, again, we're in this world now of literally, I mean, to say 24/7 rigging doesn't even do justice to the fact that the Dow Jones propaganda average is literally never allowed to go down. And I'd say gold's never allowed to go up, but, it's been creeping up despite the most maniacal suppression I've seen. Again, you can only hold down something that wants to go up and must go up for so long when the fundamentals are so strong and getting stronger because of the very suppression that's keeping them down. I mean, even with this last couple of weeks, knocking it down $40 despite absolutely miserable economic data and geopolitical issues going on, we're at 1310. We are well above the 5.5-year downtrend line by like $70. We're well above the 50-month moving average. Even silver is almost above its 50-month moving average. Right. So again, we're talking about they are just fighting uphill and winning this battle that's ultimately going to be a spectacular victory because just the money printing just keeps going on. It just doesn't stop. That's the nature of a fiat Ponzi scheme. And when we talk about today's historic meeting, it's only historic because even idiots like Zero Hedge, which there's so much truth into what they put out, but they still just can't resist, siding with the mainstream on so many different things and just not, sometimes mocking what's going on is just as bad as just not acknowledging for what it is. Okay, there's nothing historic about this supposed, they're finally going to announce that they're finally going to start tapering off or unwinding their $4.5 trillion balance sheet after all of these years, 5 years after talking about tapering. They finally are going to say, yeah, we'll sell a little bit of our portfolio. Meanwhile, despite all this talk, interest rates are sitting right near their lowest point in history. I mean, the 10-year yield is, again, back in January, I said 2.5%. Enough said. I said we'll never get above 2.5% because the economy is so bad, and everyone will be discounting future QE. And here we are, despite the supposed beginning of the end of the tapering, and we're at 2.2%. And we're only about 80 basis points from the all-time low, which was hit literally the minute, in the hours after the Brexit when everything was in panic. And we'll get there again. I mean, eventually the bond vigilantes will come with a vengeance, but we'll get to that low beforehand because the economy is just that bad. And the fact that the Fed, which again was supposed to raise interest rates like 4 times this year, and they've only done it twice, and they're not going to do it today, and it's only a 50% chance they'll do it in December. And by the time we get to December, look, we already have no more Stanley Fischer. who just quit. And Janet Yellen is now officially a lame duck because she's going to be kicked out in February in lieu of one of the low interest rate people that Donald Trump, the king of debt, wants. So we probably won't get any other rate hikes, and yet they're still pretending that there's tightening. You know, the Bank of England the other day, they said, we're going to be tightening, except we're not tightening. And then the next day they came back and said, oh, actually, no, we're really not going to be tightening, even though we didn't tighten and said we were going to tighten. Everyone knew we weren't. So the point is, in the Bank of Japan, the ECB, they haven't made any changes. The money printing just keeps going on. And today's meeting, when they do absolutely nothing with rates and say absolutely nothing and say, yeah, we'll start to slightly taper, is meaningless, particularly because while they're saying that they're selling in one hand, they could just as easily be printing money and buying it from themselves so that the market doesn't tank. And it's just that simple in this world where Main Street gets destroyed and Wall Street gets supported by the money printing and the derivatives.
Yeah, well, what do you expect? I mean, they've always said they're going to do it, but we've had our doubts from the beginning and said they never would. And look what's happening now. So what about Canada, though? You've seen the loonie go way up because they've done 2 minor rate increases. Are they going to start pulling back?
Yeah, and again, the Fed hasn't done anything. So if they say they're doing something tiny, they still haven't done it. If they do something tiny, it's immaterial. So who cares? It's just like these rate increases. Mm-hmm. In 2013, they said they were going to start normalizing rates. 2013, in fact, they started the day of the week of the big gold smash, where Obama had his closed door meeting with the too big to fail banks, and then all of a sudden gold fell down 10% in 2 days for no reason. I mean, that was 4.5 years ago.
Amazing.
And rates are still 1%, and the balance sheet hasn't been changed one bit. This is 4.5 years of them telling us we're in this fantastic economy and the stock market is at all-time highs. They haven't done anything. And the fact that the Bank of Canada has raised rates back to like 1% also immaterial, simply because the oil PPT has got oil to the crappy but better than $30 price of $50 is immaterial. I mean, they're in just as bad shape as everyone else, and they're prone to any kind of dip in commodity prices, which will occur the second we have any kind of crisis. So, I mean, good for the Canadians. Guess what they got out of it? A stronger currency, which is the last thing that any central bank wants in the final currency war. That's only going to make their economy get that much worse. It's, this catch-22. So again, there's absolutely nothing going on in the world of central banking that's any different. It's just that when I'm in my, different perch now, I don't have to spend all day staring at the Fed and the gold price and nothing else. I'm looking at the bigger picture of the ultimate monetary death cross that's going on as we speak, as fiat currency is being usurped slowly by crypto. It's very slow right now, but look at all the money that's gone into that sector right now. Look at the adoption pace. Now the scaling is going on. So I think it's almost like I don't even care. I mean, I'm not even watching the stock market anymore other than a curiosity. I'm almost not even watching the gold price other than a curiosity, because I know the stock market is not real, and I know the gold price is ultimately going to break out and be liberated once all these shenanigans get by us. And the thing that's going to kill it the most, the thing that's killing the central banks the most, aside from the debt that's piling up everywhere, is the fact that A, mainstream is getting worse, so more and more people are looking for ways to fight back, and B, more importantly, or tied into this, is the fact that because of cryptocurrency, the people can fight back, and they are. That's why the adoption is under the radar and, of course, hidden by the evil troika of Wall Street, Washington, and the mainstream media. But man, that adoption is picking up at a rapid pace. And the next thing you know, 12 months from now, 24 months from now, you won't believe how many people are either owning or investing in or starting to use cryptocurrency. You have no idea how unbelievably difficult, easy it is. I call it the ultimate litmus test. That's the name of an article I wrote. Because I've said before, for years, the way you discern the difference, the value between gold and paper money is hold a quarter in one hand and the other hand hold a gold coin. Well, the way you understand the difference between fiat and crypto is, do any kind of bank transaction, let alone international or overnight or of size, and then send someone some crypto in seconds with like no fees, and you understand how it's so empowering and efficient. And that's the thing that's going to kill the central banks the most, because ultimately no one's going to pay any attention to them. And when the economy continues to inexorably decline, and again, the governments are going to get much smaller as all the crypto payments build up and the tax revenues go down. So their only hope is going to be to hyperinflate even more. And it's just so exciting because I see this so clearly from my perch now in cryptocurrency land.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's going to liberate the gold price because it's just sitting there being suppressed by forces that are going to just die. I mean, they're either going to be overwhelmed or disbanded. It's just, that's why I'm not writing as much about gold. There's no need to write. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to sit. And as long as the gold stock market's held up, gold will be suppressed, obviously less so. As I said, it's creeping up. But, one day soon, those powers that be are going to lose control because of cryptocurrency. And you look up and, gold's 10,000. How about that? No one cares.
Yeah, so you really think that the cryptocurrencies are going to crowd out the fiat currencies, huh?
I call it the ultimate monetary death cross. It's not even crowd out. The fiat currencies are destroying themselves as they have for so long. I mean, the average fiat currency has lost half its value against the dollar since the 2008 crisis. Maybe they've gained a little bit back lately because the dollar itself, despite all the greatness we're tightening and the economy is so great, Donald Trump's so great, the dollar's been in free fall. I mean, against these crappy, horrible currencies like the yen and the euro. I mean, what does that tell you about how bad the United States fiscal and economic situation, political situation is? So, yeah, but the fiat currencies, they're destroying themselves. I mean, Main Street is a mess. The people are revolting, and they never really had the means to fight against the manipulation until crypto. It's the greatest thing in the world. It's the best way to fight back. And anyone can, I mean, look, the whole world will be made better off by it, but everyone could actually get wealthy in the process of taking down the powers that be. And right now it's kind of a slow trickle, but man, that slow trickle is going to turn into a waterfall soon enough.
Mm-hmm. So I had a guy on who is behind BitShares. You familiar with BitShares?
Sounds like a scam to me. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's one of those ICO type spin-off things. There's so many of them, but yes, tell me all about BitShares. Anything that has the word bit in it, you know that they're trying to, get a few bucks like BitGold, B Gold and B Cash, all this stuff on the Bitcoin name.
Yeah, this guy had been around quite a while in the space. His name is Stan Larimer.
Okay.
And, it seemed like they put a limit on the number that can be issued.
Great.
Supposedly you get paid 5% per year for your purchase of it. And, some other interesting little tidbits there.
There's so much going on in this sector. There's so many, as I call them, crypto dividends. Some of them are borderline scams. Some of them are, I don't know. There's one called Bitcore that actually Bitcoin people are entitled to, but I just looked into it and I got so scared off by what you have to do to get it that I just backed off. I'd rather wait for the B Gold one that's coming in a few weeks, and just like the B Cash one that we got a few months ago. Look, people, again, if you're going to bring up the topic of these BitShares, ICOs, the ICO financing is the wave of the future. I mean, stocks and bonds are going to be crowded out because they have been abused and bastardized and used simply to suck wealth from the 99% and destroy the corporations they're supposed to finance and the governments. But ultimately, that financing will be replaced by decentralized financing like ICOs. But the current ICO market has so many scams in it, so many pump and dumpers that you just have to be careful. All I trust is Bitcoin and Litecoin. Everything else I watch, I analyze, but I am terrified of, and the people that I trust the most agree with me.
Well, one thing he was talking about is that there is a organization that has recently emerged to kind of establish best practices for ICOs. And as far as disclosure goes, transparency and all that. And supposedly it's starting to gain strength. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it sounded like it was a good idea because, to buy an ICO now, you might as well just go to the casino.
Well, look, the best practice is to start, and it needs to start because, we had really, in Bitcoin time, in crypto time, it's like dog years, except like hyper dog years, because we had this thing, what was it, June into July, maybe a few weeks of just absolutely manic ICO explosion. And still they're issuing them, but they're not rising as much as they were during that period. They've been kind of neutered a bit. by there was several drops this summer, and of course what the Chinese just did, which for Bitcoin, as we see, it's immaterial. In fact, it's the greatest thing in the world if the Chinese would get the heck out. But for ICOs, it's definitely not good because there's very thin markets. There's not a lot of places you can trade them. And there are a lot of people out to get them, especially because they're all centralized. They have attack vectors and CEOs and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, they've taken a severe hit in their bubble-like rise. And so they're going to have to establish best practice. That's exactly what I'm saying. ICOs will be the financing of the future, but it will not be this version. It will be one where there are rules, where people are shunned and ostracized when they do the wrong thing, when there are expectations of how you, disclose things and how you act, which have been completely absent. So, yeah, that movement has to start now. And I would expect people would be shocked about how much market share ICOs and other such decentralized financing forms have over stocks and bonds 5 years from now. In fact, these are the kind of topics that I write about in CryptoGoldCentral.com. I mean, you're not going to find this stuff anywhere, let alone this stuff plus the best commentary about gold.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So getting back to the ICOs and best practices, right now, what do they have to disclose? Whatever they feel like, right? There is no
nothing. They have a white paper. Here's a white paper. Here's what we're going to do. Give us money anonymously.
And people are doing it.
Yeah, well, they're doing it less than they were doing it, though, a few months ago. That's the whole point, because when you had this absolute, when it came out, it was literally like the .com, and every single ICO did great. It skyrocketed. No one could care less. But now you've had a lot of things happen, from drops in price, severe drops that have persisted, and of course now the regulatory, you've had the Bank of Canada, the United States, the IRS, they've all come in with rulings. Now the Chinese, so it's changing for the better. It's great.
Yeah, well, this is where government can actually do something right when they write rules that just protect people from fraud and level the playing field, if you will. So, disclosure rules, that's really it. And then it's up to you to read or not read the prospectus. And then if you get beat, and it was there, hey, shame on you.
Yeah, of course, the irony is that no one has committed more fraud or stolen more money from people than governments. So I prefer, honestly, if there was no regulation at all. It's kind of just a small government thing. I don't agree at all that government should participate in anything related to financial markets. As you said, survival of the fittest, live and learn. Don't be stupid. Don't buy an ICO of something you don't know anything about and then get upset when it goes down in price, especially something that's decentralized and unregulated. I mean, that's the whole point. If you're a decentralized and unregulated entity that wants financing, well, you got to prove yourself. You've got to do everything it takes to make people realize that you're at least a legitimate investment opportunity, if not a legitimate, investment for the long run. So I mean, I don't think the fact that governments look, most of the things like the Chinese, you could say all you want. They're banning the ICOs and, for that matter, banning Bitcoin. It's more because they're just protecting themselves from all the money leaving the yuan than they are that they care. I love when people say the Chinese government care. Yeah. Think about it. Do you know how many times I've read about how the Chinese government care about their people? That's why they're regulating. Are you freaking kidding me? This is the most malicious regime of our time. And we're saying that they care about whether some of the people lose money in ICOs? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, it's fraudster central. China, let's face it. I mean, it's one
of the most corrupt societies in the world. The government, the government literally owns 1.5 billion people and does what it wants. It takes what it wants. It just did it with the Bitcoin. We're taking what we want. Screw you, people. But we care about you. Don't buy ICOs.
Oh, we care. Yeah, right. Just like the U.S. government cares about you.
I mean, there's just no words to describe. It's such lazy journalism when people write that. And I've seen it from smart people in our sector. They approve that the Chinese are helping investors. They're not helping investors. If they were helping investors, they'd loosen these ridiculous capital controls. They'd let the yuan freely trade and they'd let people trade in out. But of course, they're too scared because of their Ponzi economy, and the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. Forget what's going on here is the Chinese bubble economy with all their ghost university. So they're just scared that it's all going to fall apart, and that the handful of people that are going to meet at the 19th National Congress meeting in the next few weeks in China to determine the future of the Communist Party there, they're just worried that the 1.5 billion people are going to storm the castle, the Politburo, and kill them. So they make rules. And again, a lot of these rules that are going on in China, like banning Bitcoin, are directly due to the Chinese national. People don't realize this is like the most important meeting in the world. It happens every 5 years, and it determines whether Xi Jinping gets to be the general secretary for another 5 years. And, this handful of people decides how China will change, their policies will be throughout the world. So it's no different than Trump before the election saying, I'm going to build a wall, and Hillary saying, I want to stop Russia and everyone else who's our enemies. And then, they get in, they just shut up because it's just campaign promises. And, in China's case, they do some draconian actions. But in the case of Bitcoin, as I said, day one, it was the best possible thing. And it's going to backfire in their faces because it's going to make Bitcoin stronger.
Yeah, no doubt.
And more valuable. What do you think? The people in China are not going to find ways to buy it? They have satellites now. This just came out, a satellite network, so that you'll be able to beam your Bitcoin to satellites, so that you don't, when people say, oh, an EMP will destroy it. Well, first of all, that's BS to start with for many reasons. But no, you actually will be able to send it in channels outside of the internet.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Well, in another few years, all cell phones are going to be replaced by satellite anyway. So
that's right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. World's changing.
Yep, the world is changing real fast. So, Andy, just tell us again, so we get a free 7-day trial. Tell us where to go, what to do.
Yeah, free 7-day trial and a free 7-day money-back guarantee. I mean, people, just take a look. It's CryptoGoldCentral.com. If you like listening to me on this show, and I've been on it for 6 years, just go and sign up for a 7-day trial. I mean, you'll see the titles, but if you sign up for the free trial, you can read them. And I'm as prolific there as I've ever been because I'm more excited than I've ever been. And I'm talking about the role cryptocurrencies playing in the world, and of course, the old role that gold has played and will continue to play. And it's just so refreshing for me. So CryptoGoldCentral.com. And, I look forward to doing this show every week as I have been for all these 6 years.
All right. And any questions, comments for Andy, myself? The email address to send to is kl@kerrylutz.com. And the Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. Twitter feeds @Kerry Lutz. Don't forget, go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Got one going out today. Andy, we'll talk to you same time, same place next week.
Looking forward to it.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.